Welcome back. Turkey has issued an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, accusing him of genocide over Israel's military action in Gaza. The warrants are unenforceable outside of Turkey, but the move marking a sharp escalation in their criticism of the country of Israel. Meanwhile, the Senate rejecting a resolution that would have blocked military action against Venezuela, though the Department of War continues maritime operations targeting drug trafficking in the area. To break this all down further, we are joined by Director of the Western Hemisphere Initiative, AFPI, Melissa Ford Maldonado, and retired Marine Intelligence Officer Hal Kempfer. Welcome to you both.
Morning.
Thanks for having us.
Good morning.
All right, guys, good morning. Turkey has issued that arrest warrant. There's 36 other people that have been accused as genocide and crimes of humanity with him. Crimes against humanity, I should say. So, Hal, what message is President Erdogan trying to send?
Well, President Erdogan has kind of shown a lot of, obviously, sympathy, a lot of connection with Hamas. They have hosted Hamas in Turkey before. And I think he's really kind of, in the background, he's always been pushing very hard for a two-state solution. And I think this is very consistent with what he's been doing all along. It's very disappointing, but it's very consistent.
Now, I want to also talk about Russia as well, though, because the Kremlin is denying speculations that Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov his dismissal, really, after a noted absence from an important meeting last week. This comes as Trump cancels his meeting with Putin last month, saying it just didn't feel right. Is there something going on behind the scenes that we're not necessarily aware of, Melissa? What do you think?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
There is rumors that there's been a division in the Kremlin between Sergei Lavrov and President Putin. He was dismissed and wasn't at a meeting last week, and then the president didn't go to Russia and canceled that meeting with Putin. Do you think there is potential that there might be something going on behind the scenes here?
I'm sorry, I apologize. I am actually not the Russia expert. I'm here to talk about Venezuela.
Okay, all right. So we're going to...
Sorry about that.
That's all right. We'll throw that question back over to you then, Hal.
TW, Sarah, what basically Lavrov was, they had the meeting set up with Budapest. It fell apart. And a lot of that had to do with the response that Lavrov had to Secretary Rubio. As you know, this week, yesterday, Viktor Orban of Hungary was meeting with President Trump. And there's an overture, as I understand it, to maybe revive the Budapest summit. I think whatever happened there, Putin is moving. He's pivoting very quickly. He's got a lot of internal problems in Moscow, and I think this is a symbolic of it. He's moving Lavrov aside right now because that's become a difficult situation. I don't think Lavrov was saying anything that Putin didn't want. He just realized it didn't land very well, and it put him in a very difficult situation.
Now, Melissa, as the director of the Western Hemisphere Initiative at AFPI, we know that the Department of War revealed its 17th lethal strike on a drug boat. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, said on X, quote, "To all narco-terrorists who threaten our homeland, if you want to stay alive, stop trafficking drugs. If you keep trafficking deadly drugs, we will kill you." Now, the Senate also rejected a resolution that would have blocked military action against Venezuela. Melissa, what's your reaction to the Senate and also to Pete Hegseth's comments?
Yeah, I think Pete Hegseth put it very well. The president has mounted a very large military buildup in the region. And I think that the president and his cabinet, including, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, realized something that a lot of presidents and a lot of cabinets before them did not, that we are at war with the transnational drug cartels because they're killing Americans and because they're destroying our communities. I believe, and I think that the America First Policy Institute believes, that is a legitimate defense of the homeland and a legitimate use of American power.
What are your thoughts?
Which is long overdue.
I'm sorry, what are your thoughts on the Senate's rejection of the resolution?
Well, I think that I'm not the legal scholar or the constitutional scholar. I think it'll be interesting to see that play out. I think that if we do see that play out, President Trump will probably prevail because he's acting in the defense of American communities. And this is one of the reasons that he was elected to come back into public service in November 2024, just a year ago today. And I think that the cabinet, especially Marco Rubio, put it very well. Killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military. The specifics would have to play out.
Yeah, Hal, I want to pivot back to the Middle East there, though, because the Abraham Accords we know has been such a triumph for President Trump in both of his terms here, and now he's at it again. Kazakhstan is going to be joining the list of countries that have now normalized ties with Israel. What is the significance of this?
Well, Sarah, President Trump, we just had this, well, I shouldn't say President Trump, but we just had this meeting with the five, President Trump too, I should say, host this meeting with five Central Asian countries. Kazakhstan's kind of interesting because they've had relations, if you will, diplomatic relations with Israel for 30 years, but now they have joined the Abraham Accords, and it's kind of interesting because there's been a lot of back channel or a lot of discussion about potentially Pakistan joining on, and maybe some of the other Central Asian countries. This is a little bit different than what we looked at. Obviously, Saudi Arabia is the big country that everybody's focused on for joining the Abraham Accords, but this is a way to kind of build momentum towards that effort. And so I think it's a fairly significant step.
Look, I think if they can normalize ties with Pakistan, then I think the rest of the area is just going to follow, because that's going to be a really hard one to get over the line. Hal, Melissa, thank you both so much for joining us today.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.